Okay, what if we could finally get our hands on the actual blueprint for one of the most devastating diseases out there? Well, today we're going to talk about a breakthrough that might be doing just that. Scientists have built the first ever causal map of the Alzheimer's brain, and honestly, it could change everything we thought we knew.
And just to get a sense of why this is so important, you just have to look at the numbers. By 2060, it's projected that almost 14 million Americans over 65 are going to be living with Alzheimer's. So this isn't some abstract scientific puzzle, right? This is a massive public health crisis that's right around the corner.
So that begs the question, why has Alzheimer's been such a tough nut to crack for so long? And it really all boils down to one word: complexity. I mean, the brain is this ridiculously intricate network, and the disease isn't just one little thing going wrong. No, it's a whole cascade of system failures. For decades, trying to find the real starting point, the thing that kicks it all off, has felt, well, pretty much impossible.
And that really gets to the heart of the Alzheimer's puzzle. You know, for years, scientists have found genes that are linked to the disease, names you might have even heard of, like APOE and APP. They knew these genes were always at the scene of the crime, so to speak, but what they didn't know was how they were causing all the damage. It's like they had the parts list for a machine, but they were totally missing the instruction manual.
This is where we have to understand a really crucial difference. For so long, all we could see was correlation, which genes were sort of active at the same time. Think of it this way. You see a fire and you see firefighters. They're there together, right? But you know the firefighters didn't cause the fire. What we really needed to find was the arsonist, the actual cause. We needed the why, not just the what.
And this whole problem is just perfectly summed up by one of the lead researchers, Dr. Dabao Zhang. He said that the old tools, well, they could see the crowd gathering, but they couldn't point out who actually started the commotion. They just couldn't separate the drivers from the passengers. But what if you finally could tell them apart? That's where everything is changing. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine have built this incredibly powerful new tool that's designed to find those hidden drivers. It's called Signet, and believe me, it is a massive leap forward. So what is Signet? Well, put simply, it's a machine learning framework that was built from the ground up to dig deeper than just correlation. It's designed to build a map that actually shows you which genes are the bosses and which genes are the workers. You know, to finally find those cause and effect links that have been hiding in plain sight. So how in the world does it work? Okay, Signet basically does two amazing things. First, it just pulls in and integrates these enormous troves of data. We're talking genetic and cellular data from hundreds of different patients. Then, its algorithm gets to work and starts building that causal map, figuring out which genes are the controllers and which are being controlled. You can almost think of it like it's creating a detailed corporate org chart for all the genes inside our brain cells.
So, the researchers had this incredibly powerful new tool. They pointed it right at the Alzheimer's brain. And what they found? Well, it has given us the absolute clearest picture we've ever had of the genetic chaos that's really driving this disease.
And here's some of the biggest takeaways. First, they saw that the most severe damage, the most dramatic disruptions, were happening in what are called our excitatory neurons, the cells that send out all the go signals. They also pinpointed hundreds of what they're calling hub genes that are acting like these major control centers. And this is really fascinating. They found that a very well-known gene, APP, was actually playing a completely new role they'd never seen before, acting as a powerful controller in a totally different type of brain cell.
So let's talk about these hub genes, because they are absolutely crucial. Think of them like the CEO of a company or a major downtown traffic intersection. If one of them goes haywire, it doesn't just cause one problem. It can create widespread chaos down the line, affecting dozens, even hundreds of other genes. And that right there makes them incredibly promising new targets for future drugs and treatments. So what does this all mean for the future? Well, this isn't just a cool science experiment. This is about having a real, tangible roadmap for the next generation of Alzheimer's treatments.
For the first time, instead of just targeting the general symptoms that we see, like amyloid plaques, researchers can now laser focus on the specific hub genes that are actually driving the disease in different kinds of brain cells. This gives us so much hope for much more precise, more effective therapies, and maybe even for ways to catch the disease way earlier. But this is where the story gets even bigger. The true power of this new tool, it isn't just about what it can do for this one disease.
Yeah, it turns out the Signet method is like a master key. The exact same approach they use to map out Alzheimer's, it can be applied to other ridiculously complex diseases too. We're talking about various cancers, autoimmune disorders, even mental health conditions. It is a completely new way of understanding the genetic wiring behind our absolute toughest medical challenges.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. For so long, we've been treating all these diseases like they're totally unique, separate puzzles. But what if the answer isn't about solving each puzzle one by one? What if it's about finding the blueprint that reveals the hidden network inside all of them? This research suggests that for the first time, that blueprint is finally within our reach.